Hey guys, what's up? This is Nuts here. How you guys doing? Today I'm going to be showing you how to shoot monorail trails in the day like this. So let's go. Okay, pretty cool, right? Now basically what we're doing in this shot is actually it's a long exposure but during the day. Now we're going to walk around, we're going to take a couple of shots using this technique, and especially the monorail because it's something that's really cool. Now for this we do need a tripod because we need to make sure that our camera stays still. So make sure you have one with you. It could be any size. For example, I'm using one here which is probably like 6 inches tall, and it works great for what we're trying to shoot today. Also, besides that, we're going to walk around and we're going to do really long exposure to try to disappear people. So let's go ahead and talk about the equipment that we're going to be using for these types of shots. Let's go. Now we're going to be using very important, which is our ND filter, which is this one. I've done a couple of videos of this, and basically what it does, it's basically a sunglasses for the lens, and that way allows us to do long exposures similar to nighttime shots where we're able to set our camera to a really long exposure, and that way we can get the trails of the monorail but during the day. Now you can see I only have 2 lenses here with me today. One is the ultra wide angle and the other one is the regular Sigma 17 to 55, 17 to 50. I do not have my fisheye or any of the other weird ones, and the reason for that is that since I'm going to be using this ND filter, it only applies to these types of lenses where the front is flat. Now, a really important thing I would tell people, everybody, that when you're buying ND filters, in this case this is the ND 1000, is that you get the filter for the largest lens that you got. Now, for example, I have these lenses are 77, and you can see the size by the number in the front. For example, here you can see it says 77 on the bottom. So what I do is I get the biggest ND filter, and then using a device which is called a ring down, which this is how it looks, you can use it on a smaller lens. So when you're looking to get ND filters, always get one which is for the biggest size of lens that you have in your bag. Okay, so when we talk as for location, as for the shot that we took, we're actually going to walk into the Journey into Imagination with Figment area. And there's a couple of spots here that we're going to be using which are really good. And one is actually right here at the end of this handrail, which is right here. And this is where we're going to be setting up our camera right here. Now another tip I like to tell people is count how many seconds you actually see the monorail in the frame, because you don't want it to go over the time that you are doing your exposure, because it's going to happen, it's going to look see-through. For example, I'm going to wait for the monorail to go by once, and I'm going to count how many seconds I see it in my frame. Here we go. And not yet. I'm going to start. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that should be enough seconds for the exposure. So what I'm going to do now is actually going to set up my camera, and I'm going to try to make it do 4 seconds, because that way I get the monorail completely in the shot. Now we're going to be using manual mode, and the reason for that, which is M here on the dial, and the reason for that is that I want to be able to control all 3 parameters of what consists of the exposure, which is the ISO, the f-stop, and the shutter speed. Now the ISO, you got it, ISO 100, because we want to be able to get the best quality out of our sensor. Now on the f-stop and the shutter is where we're going to be playing with, because we want to be able to shoot something which is like 4 or 5 seconds only. We don't want to do something which is really long depending on the f-stop that we're using. For example, if I'm going to shoot this at f8, what the camera is going to probably say, oh, it's going to take like 10 seconds. Well, I don't want 10 seconds, because what's going to happen if I do 10 seconds is that I'm going to get a photo like this, which is where the monorail has passed, and it takes like 4 or 5 seconds to pass, and the rest is exposed, and then what happens, I get clouds in the back and the monorail looks like a ghost. So we don't want to do that. So when it comes to the f-stop, it's what we're going to be playing with, because we want the time to be 4 seconds. Now for example, if I go ahead and change my f-stop to something like f8, and I'm using my exposure indicator here on the bottom, it's going to say that I need to go under, and it's going to bring down the time to 2 seconds, and I don't want that. I want it to actually be 4 seconds. So that is where I'm going to be playing with my f-stop until the exposure indicator in the middle comes to 4 seconds, which comes up to f13. Again, we want to be able to lock it down to a certain amount of time, which in this case is f4. Now you can do the same thing, of course, using a shutter priority, but I like to use manual, because that way you control literally everything in there, including the f-stop itself. So here comes the monorail. I'm gonna go ahead and take the shot, and it's gonna go for 4 seconds. Let's see what happens. As soon as I got enough of the monorail in the frame, there we go, I just started it. And we're hoping that it will stop before the monorail ends, because that way we get no clouds in it. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, the first tip I want to give is make sure that you include other stuff inside the photo. For example, the shot, you'll see that it has the reverse water fountain, but you can actually shoot this from the other side as well. For example, from right here where we got all this stuff shooting up all around the place, you can actually set up the tripod right here and shoot Spaceship Earth on the back and the monorail going in front of it. Okay, the second tip that I'm going to give is actually you got to be patient, guys. Now this monorail on this beam comes by probably every couple 15 minutes or so, so you got to wait it out, you know. Put in the time and wait for the monorail to come. Trust me, you'll guarantee you, because you get some really good shots. Try different locations, different spots, stuff that you won't normally do, because sometimes you'll be surprised at some of the shots you're going to get. For example, besides showing you this, we're going to actually take some shots trying to disappear people using some really long exposures. So let's head in and do it. Let's go. Okay, so there's actually a hidden secret, or something that among us photographers we like to try a lot, is that if you make the exposure long enough, you actually make all these people disappear. That's right, we're going to make them disappear. So what we're going to do with this type of shot is that we're actually going to set the settings as high as possible. In this case, 30 seconds. So for example, I'm going to be putting my f-stop all the way as high as I can, and I'm going to set the timer all the way to 30 seconds. Now I could put longer, but just for this exercise, we're going to go ahead and try it as it is. And again, I got my ND filter here, ND filter 1000, and let's go ahead and shoot it and let's see what happens. As long as these people keep on moving, they won't come out on the shot, because what happens is that it needs to be able to get a good burn into the sensor when they stop in front of the camera for at least a good couple of seconds. But if they're moving, they're not going to come out. Now the key to this also is to shoot it from the side, because if you shoot it from the front, what's going to happen is you're going to get people walking towards you and they're going to be inside your shot. You want them actually to go sideways so they don't come out in the photo. So let's see what we get. Okay, so the next fun shot we're going to take is actually right here, which is the entrance to Epcot. And this is obviously, everybody has to go through here. So we're going to do that technique where we put our f-stop as high as possible and our timer as high as possible, and we're going to see if we can disappear these people. Okay, so here on the camera, I have obviously a maximum of 30 seconds, and F11, I could put more time if we want to, but I think 30 seconds is more than enough to disappear all these people, and let's see what we get. Now I'm putting the timer, because that way I don't shake the camera when I press it. So if you want to do that, that's probably another good tip as well. Okay guys, so that's it here from Epcot Disney Nuts, signing off and saying hopefully this technique and stuff that we did today you can apply to other types of photos when you visit the parks. Now again, try different settings, different locations, and different things on your camera with different ND filters and stuff like that, because when you try different stuff, that's what makes Disney photography fun. Now, if this is the first time watching these videos and you're wondering who I am, I'm Disney Nuts, and I do videos and how-to stuff from inside the parks, like today. And also I talk about Instagram and do food reviews and other stuff like that. So if you like what you saw, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified the next time a video comes up. Now, with that said, guys, stay awesome. See ya.